Hello, everybody. Sergeant Rich Myers. You have tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. And I am with Sergeant Ernie Alder, retired from the Indiana State Police. This is a continuation of our show last week. Just to kind of recap, Sergeant Ernie Alder and I were speaking about the camps and the beginning of the ISP camps. And we want to continue that conversation and talk about the museum. So we're not going to waste any time because we're going to run out of time real quick. But Ernie, one thing that I always find intriguing about our camps, and my question to you is, it started this way. It's ISP personnel generally that run those camps and do all of the counseling and things with the kids. Was that the way from the very beginning? Was it troopers that helped you out?
Oh, yes. Mostly PIO, well, safety head sergeants back in those days from around the state. And old fellers like Bomber Brown, quite a tradition there to talk about Bomber Brown and his ISP experience. And Tom Jack, Jim Grindle, probably remember Jim, and those fellas. And we all came together at the very start there in the early 70s and cranked things out at the 4-H Center and had a lot of good kids, a lot of interesting experiences. And one of my favorite stories is a young boy from Richmond who was out quite late one night, roaming around looking up at the stars, and I went out to see what he was up to, and I said, "Son, are you homesick?" And he said, "Well, yes, sir, I am." I said, "Well, what's the problem?" And he said, "Well, I miss those skyscrapers over in Richmond." Well, I think they do have some 3-story buildings over there. Yeah, he missed the skyscrapers. He's quite a guy. And
he hadn't ventured out much, had he?
I've often wondered what happened to that kid. But pretty interesting. And Tim McCarthy was also involved. Tim, I think he had a show similar to this one. Maybe
Tim
Signal
McCarthy
10.
was instrumental in starting this road show. He was the pioneer of that. So
he told me he had a kid come up to him one time and he said, "Sergeant McCarthy, I've got to leave on Friday." I think we graduated on Saturday back then, at what we call Special Events Day, and had a big blowout there at the 4-H Center. And a lot of fun and a lot of excitement, and the kids were all
parents
fired
come in.
up. Oh, yeah, it was really good. He said, "Sir, I've got to leave on Friday." He said, "I hate missing the graduation." He said, "Sergeant McCarthy, are you familiar with a missing man formation?" Tim thought, he told me, he said, "I think I know what's coming." Well, he said, "If you would you just leave my space open there as we line up for graduation?" Tim said, "Yes, sir, we will." And we did. So, kids are great. Kids are really
well. I know when we were going through the camp, and one of the big slogans there was the hardest time would be when you were leaving.
Oh yeah,
and it was.
That was Sergeant Jackson. He came up with that.
Yeah, and it was tough. I mean, you hated it, when you showed up because, buddy, it was a different world.
A lot of kids they begin to realize that we all have an importance in life.
Yeah,
and it gave them something to look to. And I tried about 15 years into it to do a survey, but didn't get much response for where are you and what are you doing and all that sort of thing. But I think quite a few of those young people that went through the camps have become involved in law enforcement.
Now, you started out with the PIOs, or the safety ed sergeants at that time. When you started to expand, what did you do? You didn't have enough personnel, obviously.
Yeah, there were a lot of opportunities. Fortunately, I can't remember who superintendent was after DeBar. That's kind of embarrassing. But we did have a number of superintendents that were very supportive, including the current one, Superintendent Carter, very supportive of the program. We had to look out for more volunteers. Some of them even took vacation time to help with the camps. And that took us down in the ranks to some of the road troopers and so forth, which was good because they were able to add their experiences to the curriculum. And, all of a sudden we were looking at a dozen camps going in the summertime. 7 people, maybe 7 or 8 running the camp. So you're looking at 85 to 100 troops. Well, one of the challenges we had there at one point was I think federal subsistence was coming to the state for roads patrolled, especially on the interstates and federal highways. And pulling the troops off of those roads was kind of a challenge because they had to meet certain guidelines. But fortunately, we got through it okay, and I didn't pull a trick on that one like I did a couple other things. But we just survived that particular challenge that was really came forth from the federal government. But we always had people that were willing, even on their own time, to go to the camps and to work because it was good.
Now,
it was a good experience.
What years did the females begin to? You recall that?
I'm going to say that must have been about early 90s.
Okay.
I said, gee, I think that's a long time ago, the early 90s. Gee. And I think the first girls' camp we had would have been at Indiana State.
Was that an all-girls camp, or did you?
Yes. We started out with just all girls. Now they're co-ed right now, right. And I guess everything's going fine. But I'm kind of old-fashioned and thought maybe we'd have some romances going on that would kind of detract. You know how kids are. You can remember back. I can't.
No, I can't.
And we tried to. Not that we had any particular reason other than, hey, let's concentrate on our subject matter here, not that little blonde girl over in the corner. So we got through that okay. And Jim Grindle and Larry Dembinski, the first directors for the girls' camps.
Went off good, continued on, and the camps have continued on again for 45 years, Larry tells us. And the reason, one of the reasons we're talking is Larry's decided to retire from the board. So is somebody taking your place there, Larry? Or Larry?
Yeah, I'm
Ernie. Why am I calling you Larry?
I don't know. That's okay.
Is it somebody taking your place there, Ernie?
Well, on the board, actually, no. Now, we got to talk a little bit about Sergeant Ray Poole because he has really, really been a spark plug for this program I was trying to think coming over, probably the last 8 years. And when I retired, 94 was the second time I retired.
Right.
And Ray stepped in and really took over and has done a great job, and it gets pretty challenging.
Oh, I'm sure.
You try to keep the costs down. You try to keep a certain amount of interest from the service agencies. That's dwindled just a little bit. Service clubs, they really aren't as healthy as they used to be. I remember I was a member there at Cambridge City in Kiwanis, and we had 65, 70 members every Tuesday night. Well, I visited recently and had about 12 or 15 at a meeting. Yeah. So they have really diminished a lot, and you don't have the resource there that we had years ago. Things have changed. Prices have gone up.
There's a lot more camps.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot more camps to take opportunity with.
When you go, I thought the college campuses were a good place to end up because that's a kind of a added attraction and experience for the youngsters to be on a college campus.
Kind of a stepping stone.
Yeah. And when you're growing up and going to grade school, middle, and high school, and then you think about going to that strange, unknown place called a university. If you've already been there before, it makes a little bit different. So we've added that as a fringe benefit for the camps, and it's just been good, and we have unbelievably minimally few problems. I mean, with the kids or because of the kids, just very little. We've had good deportment and a real good response. They're there for the reason that it was started, and it just makes it real good. They're real proud to have been there.
Do you? You said you started that survey one time. Didn't get much of a response, but just talking throughout the years and to other troops and kids and stuff. A lot of kids that go through this law enforcement experience, do they go on to law enforcement? Did you find out? I know, that's what I was looking at when I went through it. So came to Indiana State Police, but I'm sure with the sheriff's departments, the local police agencies, Indiana State Police, you find a lot of kids coming back to you and say, hey, I came to one of your camps.
We've heard from kids that have been involved in all levels of law enforcement, people that have been involved in some of the agencies that work with juvenile agencies, and it's there. And the nice thing about it is that a foundation has been set and a basic understanding of what it's all about has been set because of their attendance at camp, and all of them go away with having had that experience. And
where did the idea for the Pioneer Camp come?
Okay. Oh, man. When did I think about that? I can't recall exactly, but it was just about the same time as the middle school camp, the 7th and 8th grade camp, just about that same time. And
the Pioneer Camp, to explain to our listeners, is kind of for kids that maybe have already started down the wrong path,
right,
and need a little bit of guidance to get back on that right path.
Well, yeah, I pulled the lines out of my left hip pocket, and in my right hip pocket, I had the JCs,
okay,
Junior Chamber of Commerce. I was stationed with Salvation Army in Huntington, Indiana, and while I was there, I was awarded, and I'm not bragging, please, because I've laughed a lot of times about it, Young Man of the Year.
Wow.
Well, I did some. I was, and young is right. I was about 23 years old. But a member of the Salvation Army board was named High Goldenberg, and the Goldenbergs owned Huntington Laboratories. And High took a liking to what I did, so, hey, Young Man of the
There you
Year.
go.
It's all in who you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it comes down to. Well, that made me think, hey, maybe the JCs would like to be, and they jumped right on it. And we've had that for, what are we going to say now, 30 years, I guess, at least 30 years.
But it's a different opportunity.
Yeah, it's youngsters that have had just a little bit of a scrape, and they're selected, a lot of them, by the juvenile agencies in the counties, and in many cases they actually pay for them to go. It's an outdoor thing. It's you pitch a tent, you have 2 or 3 troopers, and of course, through the years we've expanded and added to our staff, sheriff's department and
right,
local police and people from juvenile detention and all this sort of different thing.
Well, the National Guard is very active in the one that I attend there and do the bomb squad demonstration, and they bring in the tents and stuff for that camp.
There you go. It's a good program, and
so why did you decide to do it more of a camping set? Or was there a reason behind that, or just something different?
Well, now you got me. I've been doing pretty good so far. you gotta come up with a reason.
No reason at all.
No, really.
Okay.
It just seemed to me, hey, let's kind of make this a rough and tough thing and bring those kids together, and it's worked quite well. In fact, it was a camp I had hopes would really expand and really go big. And it's been a little bit of a struggle to keep that going, but it's still going.
Yeah.
And, some reason.
I know
kids are still coming to it.
when we go do our demonstration there, and they have, it's a smaller group of kids because, again, they're concentrating with them and trying to show them how to, almost like the academy or something, break it down and bring it back as a team and show them the self-respect that they need to know.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of with all our camps. Is what they do is
well, part of the line we have is that you learn to respect the law, respect others, and respect yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing the right thing, it's pretty hard to respect yourself.
Yeah.
So, and that's a simple line, but it's pretty good, pretty effective.
So the 45 years camp has flown by, I'm sure. Are you still going to stay involved?
I just sent my letter off the board about 2 weeks ago to Ray Poole.
Uh-huh.
I need to, well, my wife and I were quite busy with doctor visits, and it's just one thing after another when you get older. And there's young people coming on that they know what to do and how to do it, and I can go down to a board meeting and sit there, and they all kind of look over and say, that's the old guy that started it. I've become the old guy that started it, so move on.
Well, I'm sure Ray's going to be calling you for expert advice, and what did you do here, and what do you think about this, and where do I go here? So
Ray's doing good. He's doing a real good job. I'm proud of him.
He has.
It isn't everybody would have picked that up because he does have other responsibilities with it.
Yeah.
He's doing good.
Well, again, you've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow with Sergeant Ernie Alder, retired from the State Police, and we have not talked about the museum, so I'm going to have Ernie back here one day, and we're going to talk about the museum that Ernie got started also. So, Ernie, thanks again for coming in, and I appreciate your time and appreciate your service.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Again, this has been the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. We've been talking about the ISP youth camps, which if you go to our website, there's all kinds of information about all the youth camps offered by the Indiana State Police, and make sure that you attend, get the kids to one. It's a great experience. We thank you for being with us. We'll catch you again next week, and keep the kids buckled up and stay buckled up yourself. Bye-bye.